Alright, since my multi-boxing video did so well, I have decided to make another one. Today's lesson is going to be on power leveling. Now there are three types of main power leveling. There's other variations and ways to do this, but the first type is going to be through what's known as a chain stun and then AoE damage. The second type is going to be through the traditional, which is what we're going to cover in this video, damage shields. And the third method can be a little tricky. That's where you zone out, feign death, or somehow lose aggro with the mobs so that the damage that you do to them doesn't count, and then you let your lower level or your power level E take all the kills and get all the experience. So the first type of power leveling is chain stuns, and if you have seen people advertising wanting to sell power level in the deep, want to sell power level Plane of Innovation, or wherever, it's typically the higher end range. Levels 40 through 60 if you're in that era, or levels 43 through 65 if you're in like a Planes of Power level 65 era. And what they are doing is they are using 3, 4, preferably 5 enchanters, and they're doing a stun rotation. If you're used to maybe a heal rotation where you stagger casting, they have 5 enchanters that are just stunning enough distance apart where that when you bring enemies within range of the stun, they don't hit, they don't move, they do nothing. They just sit there and take damage. But basically they'll have a bard and they'll join 5 people to that group, and they will pull with like a divine aura, divine barrier, or something really fast, pretty much the entire zone, or as many mobs as they can get. They'll bring them back to the enchanter group, and then they'll have chain stun, and then the bard will just play a damage song, and over time they'll all die without anybody taking damage. So it's a quick way to kill a bunch of things at once. Typically it's done on mobs level 55 and below because of how the enchanter stuns work. That one is typically not going to be achievable by most people. Most people aren't going to level 5 enchanters just to power level a character. Most people aren't going to even have 5 enchanters regardless in any scenario except for power leveling. And I would say that it has to be almost automated by some type of software. It's possible that there is like maybe at a very minimum, one keystroke through multiplicity or something of the sort will press, you know, the same spell, same macro key on 5 different enchanters, and they could have different delays in the macros, so that one waits 2 seconds before casting, one waits 4, and they could be sitting there pressing that key all day for 4-hour sessions that they sell. Probably not. Not only do they probably have multiplicity, but they're probably using some type of auto fire or some type of software to keep the chain going. So that's the first type of power leveling, the most common type of power leveling that you see by the big sellers and big vendors to really crank out the AAs and levels. We're not going to do that. Obviously it's very technical, and this video is about what the average person can do. So the second way, which is the most common way, is through damage shields. Now if you don't know, damage shields are neutral damage. So that means if you were to kill a mob with just a damage shield, all that you need to do is do 1 point of damage against that mob. Hit it with anything and you'll get full experience for that mob. So obviously the way that works is we take like a druid, cast a damage shield, run around, hit a bunch of stuff, they hit you or they hit the druid, your power leveler, preferably the power leveler because they'll be able to take more damage. You cast out an AoE or hit something a bunch of times, and then you get all the experience. So the pulls aren't quite as big as the chain stun because someone has to be taking damage. Depending on how strong the power leveler is, you know, gear, AA, etc., depends on how many you can pull, and also your power leveling support staff. You don't just, if you only can play 2, yeah, you can use a druid and something else, but you want to try to get as many support classes on as you can so that you have another healer, a reser, so that this group that's power leveling never dies, and you can enhance the experience that power leveling is getting. The third type of power leveling, I don't really know who does it anymore, but back in the day, if you had like an SK or a monk, you could just beat on a mob, feign death, and then it still required your character that you're power leveling with, the character that you want to go experience to kill it off, which is sometimes near impossible. Like, you know, you wouldn't take like your bard, damage a bunch of stuff down to like 5%, maybe you got 20 mobs, and then like fade away, and then they all starts to attack your other character that you're power leveling, they're probably going to die. So that method isn't really used. It used to be used back in the day. I don't even know if it works anymore, to be honest, but I thought I would bring it up so that you guys are aware of the different types of power leveling. The way experience works in EverQuest is whoever does the most non-neutral damage to an enemy gets full credits. So that works for solo, group, and raid. So if you're in a group, it's the combined damage has to be more damage than another combined group or raid. If you're in a raid, it's the total raid damage against whatever else is hitting it, their combined damage, whether it's a solo group or raid. It's important to remember that because the way I do power leveling is typically later on I'll just have like an enchanter with a charm pet or some other DPS inside the group with the class I'm power leveling, and you can have 10, even 100 other characters outside the group hitting. As long as they are not grouped and they're individuals, and as long as your group does more damage than those other individual people hitting, you'll get full credit. And that's an important thing to remember because you'll see that used later, especially when we go 40 to 60 or 43 to 65. The next thing we're going to talk about is the necessary classes for power leveling, and I put these in order. Since it's damage, shield, power leveling, you want a druid. So there are alternatives to druid, but there isn't. There really isn't. People say, we'll use a mage, damage shield does as much or a little bit more, or a bard's got damage shield, or we'll use potions. I think potions are a terrible idea because they scale to the level. There's some clickies you can put on, but the druid is not just about the damage shield. Druid has ports, but more importantly it has heals, and then more importantly than that, it has self-damage shield, so you can put like a thistle shield or something on top of the damage shield. So when you heal the class you're power leveling, it all beats on the druid, which has a massive damage shield. Now there are ways to tweak that, but just get yourself a fucking druid. So if you're only going to be power leveling with one character, it should be a druid. The second most important class to play while you're power leveling somebody is some type of resurrector, because no matter what happens, sometimes you just like zone out, pass out, you lag. Eventually you're probably going to kill, especially this is more to the levels 1 through 43. You're probably going to kill the person you're power leveling or your character on accident. Something will happen, and the last thing you want to have to do is leave your power leveling spot, because somebody could take it. Sometimes it's competitive, but also you don't want to waste that time sending your druid back out to gather this character up and pour them back down and start all over. So I always bring a reser, and the top reser is actually going to be a paladin. Clerics are good because they got buffs and they got reses, but paladins I use to pull. So druids are a little bit, they take a little bit of damage, but if you have a high level paladin that's in raid armor or good armor, and you can literally pull an ass ton of mobs, like a lot. And if the druid heals the paladin can heal the druid. They keep bouncing aggro back and forth, splits the aggro up a little bit so your druid's not taking a pummeling. Your paladin can take a beat down, so use him to pull. So druid, paladin, top two classes that I take with when I power level. I should mention that the class that you are power leveling, even if it's going to be a melee class, you should make, if you have an account, or find somebody that has an AE, even if you don't use the character or don't want to use the character. Like a wizard, I think cleric gets an AE at level 9, mages have AEs. Other classes like shaman, I think, gets a disease AE, something that's going to do damage that you can cast through an entire group, because you don't want to be walking around pummeling with melee. You can do it that way, but if you can even just group with the character you're power leveling, something that does AE damage, could be a bard even, then it makes power leveling a lot easier. I just want to throw that out there. The third class that you want to take with is a bard. So if you have a bard, druid, paladin grouped up, the bard plays an AE non-damage slow and a snare. So nothing can run, but it's also attack speed slowed, which sounds kind of counterintuitive when you're trying to use damage shields, because you actually want your mobs to be like hasted so they die faster in the damage shield. But this is more about crowd control. So with a bard playing its AE snare song, and it could actually rotate in a damage shield song too to increase the damage shield of your group. So it's going to get that initial like aggro. So everything's going to be snared, it's going to be attacking the bard, and I found that just that song alone, the snare one, it's not a lot of aggro if you were trying to start beating something with melee. If you cast the small AE damages, just the level 1, real cheap on mana, even higher sometimes, you can cast those all day and your bard will not lose aggro, but by the time the bard would lose aggro, it's usually to the druid or paladin for healing the bard. So that adds a bigger support group and more control and less chance of killing your character, plus you get things like mana regen, movement speed, so you can do a lot with that bard. So that's the third most important character to take with when you're making this power level support group. Now that's already 3 characters plus whatever your power level, and that's 4 counts. You could do that off one of those quad screen displays that I talked about in my multi-boxing video. That might be a lot of characters for somebody, but I play 12 minimum. So I actually have a full 6 support groups. So I have a druid, a paladin, a bard, And then I also have an Enchanter, Cleric, and Shaman, and you cannot kill this power leveling group. They just, so many heals, so many slows, so many buffs. Even the person I'm power leveling is buffed to shit. I mean, you have literally every buff, every mana regen, everything available to you, besides Beast Lord stuff, but who cares about Beast Lords? So I have a 6-man power leveling group, and all they do is they pull and control everything. So they'll make massive pulls, they get all the aggro onto the group, and then I just have outside the group something doing AE. The last round I did was a wizard, low level nuke. You can make it higher if you want, but it uses more mana. I like to chain that in there because you're gonna get resist. The benefit of having that enchanter in there is that you have an AE Tishania, whatever the fuck it's called, but it's an AE spell, so the enchanter will actually start to get aggro off the bard with it. But either way, you're not going to get aggro off the character you're AEing with the power level. It's just not going to happen. So you have AE, resist debuffs, so you're lowering the magic resist of all the mobs, and you have an AEDD, direct damage spell, off of the character that you are power leveling, and you can, what that allows you to do is pull higher level mobs, so you can keep them all red to the person you're power leveling, and then you can actually land some spells on them. But you're still going to get resist when you start pulling the reds, so that's why I kind of chain cast. At least to start the pull, I'll cast 4, 5, 6 times to make sure that all the enemies are hit, because you do want to get at least that 1 point of damage in while everything is dying from damage shields. And after that, you just kind of sit there and heal each other and let everything fall off and die and do it again. So that's the necessary classes. So the thing that you want to look at when power leveling is, it's not about XP per kill. A lot of people focus on, well, I'm getting 6% a kill, 11% a kill. It's about how long does it take you to get that kill, and how many times can you do that. So for example, if there's a zone, and say they're all blue to the person you're power leveling, but there's 100 of them, and you can pull all 100 in one pull. Now when you pull 100 mobs, or when you pull mobs that are blue, that doesn't make a difference because your whole group is 60 to 65. So the actual time it takes to kill, say, a level 20 blue, and maybe like 26 is red to your character. So the time difference it takes between a level 20 and a 26 to kill them with a damage shield is like, it's non-existent. It's a few more taps, you know? So it doesn't make a difference, but the experience per kill is more on the reds. So having said that, obviously you get more experience per kill with the reds, but if there's only 30 reds available and you're getting 5% per kill, you're getting 150% of a level per pull, and then you have to wait for respawns, and respawns are typically the same. However, if you can pull 100 blues and they're all over 2%, that's 200% per pull. So you got to take that in consideration. Yes, you can kill reds, yes, you can get more experience per kill, but the way you want to look at it is experience per hour. And you'll notice that this has a big effect in places like City of Mist, where the mobs have, I guess, no experience bonus and maybe an experience penalty, but they all have literally half health. It's actually hard to use your high level damage shield in City of Mist because things fall off so fast. But you may kill a couple of those enemies and you may see, oh shit, 0.5% or 1%, but what you're not realizing is the time that took to kill them is extremely fast, and the amount you can kill at one time is extremely a lot. There are a lot of enemies in City of Mist. So what you want to look at is experience per hour. Don't just go by kill. Sit there and do a pull or two. Sit there and play for an hour. How many pulls am I getting per hour? How many enemies are there? How fast can I kill? What experience am I getting per hour? And that's how you kind of have to gauge it, and that's kind of what I've done. So although there will be better zones, depending on your situation, that I'm gonna suggest and that I use for my route, trust that I've done the experience per hour calculations, and there are reasons why I will take less experience per enemy, especially when you take into consideration that some areas are just mob dense. There's so many extra enemies there for you to pull, and you'll level faster. So now that we understand experience per hour, things that affect experience per hour, obviously we said respawn times, we went over levels. So casters, casters will not melee you until they cast a few spells or run out of mana, and they make it to you to cast. Particularly in casters, healers suck. There are some areas where a healer can make it really tough to use damage shield leveling. What I will do is when I go in to pull with my paladin, I'll just kill them. I will strike them down. I will smite them. I will take them right out of the picture. So I will kill all the healers manually because it's just not worth it to try to damage shield them down, especially when they're healing and they got to run out of mana, or you got to try to stun them. So don't rule out places that have healers or casters. just keep in mind that you may have to, do what I do and kill them or avoid them. That's the experience per hour overview. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is the leveling route. I have some video footage of the last power leveling I did so that you can get the idea behind the poles. I don't have every area because it's not necessary for me to show you every area. I may pull up maps and tell you which route you want to pull in, but the only reason there's video is to demonstrate what type of poles and what the poles look like when you're mass pulling. So stay with me. Alright, so this was made during the Planes of Power era, but it really doesn't matter. I'm going to go through the level progression or the zones that I picked per expansion, starting with the Classic. So for the Classic, we got Unrest, into Soul A, into Lower Guck, and then into the Hole. With the alternative in between there, you could go to Castle Mistmore if you prefer that type of action. And then it pretty much will stay very similar until Vilius, but for Kunark it is Unrest, to Soul A, to Lower Guck. You could use City of Mist at 35 or 30, depending on how strong your power level is. And then into Chardock to finish off. And then for Vilius, it's Unrest into Soul A, but starting at level 20 to maybe 35 or 40, you could go to the Tower of Frozen Shadow. Again, depending on your power leveling setup and preference. Then you will head to Lower Guck or the City of Mist. And then you can finish in Velks or just stick with Chardock. And then by the time Luklin is out, or Luklin, you're going to go to the Pluto Caverns for your first 1 through 15. Followed by Soul A or Tower of Frozen Shadow starting at 20. Into Grimling Forest. And then into Grieg's End to finish off up to level 60 or whatever level you're trying to do. And then for Planes of Power, Lost Dungeons of Norath, and Gates of Discord, all the level 65 max level expansions. You're going to start in Pluto Caverns 1 through 15, Soul A or Tower of Frozen Shadow at level 20, into Grimling Forest, and then once you're at level 43 in Grimling Forest, if you don't have flags, something like Plane of Valor would work, but the best is going to be Plane of Fire, hands down. By the time that Split Paw becomes active, which maybe is in the Lost Dungeons of Norath, you could do Split Paw instead. That doesn't require any flags, so that might be a better area. Okay, so for 1 through 15, you can use any of those first routes. So I've broken it down into priority based on expansions. So 1 through 15 is going to be the Red Wine quest, which is in Neriak. And you have to be evil to do it easily, but I think you can do it from Invis or Charm or some fashion. You could probably do it as a good race too. I don't do that. I just go straight to Pluto Caverns if it's open. If it's not open because it's, pre-Luklin, then I go to Unrest and I'll work the courtyard there up to probably level 15. So 15 to 25 is hands down Soul A. You can pull the entire zone depending on your power. I can do it. I can probably do it all in one pull besides the gnome areas. All the goblins is what I focus on. But I do the top half and bottom half and then I let it respawn. If you can't do Soul A because it's packed, then what you can do is there's other alternatives like in the Oceans of Tears. There's a Skeleton Island, which is good from 15 to 22. I don't think I'd stay there till 25. Castle Mistmore, which you could do 20 to 35. You could probably push it to 40. If you have a lesser powerful power leveling group, like say it's just you and a druid that you're playing, or maybe a couple characters, or you want to AFK and be left alone, Highhold Keep has some goblins in the basement, and there's maybe 15 to 25. The first level you can get down there and do at 20, but as you go to the basement, some of those warriors and other classes that are down there, maybe up to like 32. But if you're powerful enough, it really doesn't level the mobs that you're pulling. So that's a good place to sit down there and get some experience. If everything else is taken, it's usually not too busy unless it's actually in era, like it's classic or whatever. So Tower of Frozen Shadow, which has been mentioned, is really, really good. It's not big enough for the amount of support that I have, is why I don't go there. But if you were just multi-boxing, you know, a couple characters, whatever, some of those floors are really, really good and a lot of experience. At the level I'm at, obviously, if it doesn't have like 50 plus mobs, that at least, then I'm probably not interested at this point, because, you know, I'm in a hurry. You know, I want to be sitting around. That's why I built all these characters, because that's what Power 11 does. It saves you time. So Tower of Frozen Shadow is excellent. If it's in era, like Velius just came out, might be packed, but it's an alternative. And then you can always do 1525 in upper Guk. That's pretty much a go-to. Guk is good for upper, and lower Guk is good all around. There's not as many mobs as I would like, even if you fear stuff and let it train you. There's not as many, but if you're a lesser powered group, just a druid and something else power leveling or whatnot, then it definitely works. So 25 is what you should be now. 25 to 40/43, depending on whether or not the max level is 65 and you need to get to 43. That's why it's 40/43. So Grimling Forest, if you're starting at level 25, you're going to stick to the north and the south camps. By level 30, you can head into the keep and get everything in there. If that is taken, you could go right from Soul A into Soul B. I didn't do Soul B or get into it because with the era that I started power leveling in, it was kind of tough to mass pull that zone, and it was always camp, so you'd just be training people nonstop. Plus, I like wide open areas, and I fucking hate trying to auto follow around corners and all the stuff that are in dungeons. So I tried not to do much movement in dungeons if possible. For Soul A, I just kind of sit on a bridge and pull everything back to me. That could be done in Soul B, but man, that zone is crowded in era, and it's kind of a hard to pull through there, but you can make it work for sure, especially if you don't need to pull as many mobs because you have a lesser powered group. Tower of Frozen Shadow again, 25 to 40/43. That can be done on the higher floors. City of Mist. Now, you want a lot of power in your support power leveling group to go there at 30, otherwise 35, and you can even take City of Mist to 50, but like I said, you're going to leave as soon as you can group with those higher levels, unless you're bored. There's really no point to stay after that. Okay, those are my preferred leveling routes. There are a shit ton of alternatives, but to me, those have the right mob density for the levels, because as I said, a lot of zones no longer work for me because there's simply not enough mobs. As I was telling you, I have a full 6-man support group power leveling, and then by the time I'm level 43, I add in a bunch of damage. Basically have 11-12 characters leveling 1, or a group at level 65. So where you go and what you do will depend on how strong your power level is. If you keep in mind, you're not going to be mass pulling zones during Classic, Kunark, and Velius. For the most part, you're just not going to be strong enough. The gear's not strong enough. By Luckland era, you start to get that AA, so you can start to get some avoidance and other things, special abilities. And then by Planes of Power, you get a ton more AA, and your characters become really powerful, especially with Plane of Time or the Elemental gear. And then by Gates of Discord, putting that AA and equipment onto a level 65 character, and then going back to the beginning zones, you're going to be able to pull pretty much the entire zone for quite a while. So you keep in mind what era that you're in, because that's going to determine what zones you can use as alternatives, what you should use as alternatives, and how powerful your power level will be. For example, in Grimling Forest during Lukeland, you could pull maybe a room at a time. By the time Planes of Power, I'm pulling 2 rooms, and now I can pull the entire fucking zone or the whole entire castle during Gates of Discord. So that's something to keep in mind for sure. Alright, the goal of power leveling for me, and maybe for you too, should be to get your character that you're power leveling high enough so that it can group with your high level characters, whether you have your own full group or just a couple characters that you're going to play in a full group. So for the level 50 expansion, you want to be 33, so you can group with level 50s, and your finishing zone for that will probably be in the hole. And then for the level 60 expansions, you're going to want to be level 39. And your finishing zones for that will be in Chardok, but once Luckland comes out, you'll be in Grieg's End. And then as Planes of Power era, level 65 max level, you will stop at 43, and then you can take that character wherever you want, whether you're going to go to Grieg's, Plane of Fire, if Splitpaw, Lost Dungeons North is out, or any of the other plane zones. pretty much anywhere. The goal is to group the level 43 with 65s because it is faster and more efficient in almost every case, unless you're doing that enchanter perma-stun power level, or you're paying someone to do that for you. So if you're just casually power leveling and multi-boxing, this is the way to go. Thank you for watching this video. Again, there are a ton of other zones, so if you do find something that works for you, it would be very helpful to everybody else watching this video if you said the zone, the level, and your setup. So what you're playing, the power level, if it's AE, etc., what your power level group consists of, how you're pulling it, and any other advice you give, so that people can watch the video, read the comments, and replicate your setup. And maybe I will make a video showing your setup, or we can include your video in my next video. So anything like that. And if you have any other questions or something doesn't make sense, please feel free to ask below. I'll put links to everything, including my multi-boxing video, below. So once again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
It's 4 a.m., it's time to wake up. Better check my inbox before I fill my cup. And as I scroll through, what do I see? Nothing but a bunch of dicks looking back at me. It makes me angry, it's kind of sad. I blocked 5 of them, 1 was my own stepdad. And what's this world coming to? So many random people I would never do. Oh, please believe me and listen to what I say. You don't have a chance with me on this day or any day. So before you comment, please think about this first. The answer's still no, even though you're dying of thirst. I don't need any comfort, I'm doing just fine. Just click the like button and save yourself some time. Don't tell me any jokes, you're really not that funny. The only thing I'll take from you is some of your money. Yeah, I like money. Yeah, I like money. Checking on my Facebook early in the morning. It's Facebook, y'all, not amateur porn. Something in this picture's very wrong. And why is this dude wearing a thong? And no, I'm never gonna take your calls. I don't wanna see your old man balls. Whatever happened to going on dates? Your pathetic ass can't afford my rates. I accept PayPal, cash or check, credit cards, debit cards, no Bitcoin yet. And if you really wanna make my day, then open up your wallet and start to pay, singing. Yeah, I like money. Yeah, I like money. Checking on my Facebook early in the morning. It's Facebook, y'all, not amateur porn. Something in this picture's very wrong. Why is this dude wearing a thong? And no, I'm never gonna take your calls. I don't wanna see your old man balls. Whatever happened to going on dates? Your pathetic ass can't afford my rates. I accept PayPal, cash or check, credit card, debit cards, no Bitcoin yet. If you really wanna make my day, then open up your wallet and start to pay.
Spent a night out of the city. The old man tried to tear me down. Wrote a letter not for sending, but it was worth the time it cost. Take those lonely days, those old lonely days, and run away with me. Traded something in the waiting, never missed it anyway. Looked for peace until I found it. The city never had enough to say. Take those lonely days, those old lonely days, and run away with me. Turn the lights out in the city. We were never meant to be afraid. Seems like I have found a home. Trade collections for the freedom. Those old days are just a memory. I won't forget them, but I know the better off seem to all be happy, and the beggars get what they came for. These things are often as they seem. Close the windows, lock the doors. No one escapes without a memory, and the stars are falling at my feet. Take those lonely days, those old lonely days. Take your lonely days and run away with me.
To start a fight, and we won't make it through the night. So check yourself at the door, 'cause I don't wanna do this anymore. It's the same old song with a different dance, followed by a second chance. Skip the act and quit the show. There's better places we can both go. I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this anymore. You're saying things that just aren't true. Sorry, but this one's on you. You're not quite certain and you're never sure. If you had common sense, you concur. So close your eyes and wonder why you let life pass us by with all the things that we could be. But now you're just a song lyric to me. I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this anymore. Completely fine when you're around, but when you're gone, Satan comes to town. And I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna do this anymore. The exorcist is in high demand. This is not what we had planned. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this anymore. It's a little too late to apologize. You already gouged out both my eyes. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this anymore.
Spent a night out of the city. The old man tried to tear me down. Wrote a letter not for sending, but it was worth the time it cost. Take those lonely days, those old lonely days, and run away with me. Traded something in the waiting, never missed it anyway. Looked for peace until I found it. The city never had enough to say. Take those lonely days, those old lonely days, and run away with me. Turn the lights out in the city. We were never meant to be afraid. Seems like I have found a home. Trade collections for the freedom. Those old days are just a memory. I won't forget them, but I know the better off seem to all be happy, and the beggars get what they came for. These things are often as they seem. Close the windows, lock the doors. No one escapes without a memory, and the stars are falling at my feet. Take those lonely days, those old lonely days. Take your lonely days and run away with me.
Everything I thought I would need. And now that I have you, I find it hard to believe. Sometimes the things we want are so hard to achieve. I hope that you are finally starting to see. And I just wonder how long this can last, 'cause in the past it's gone real fast. Everything has vanished right before my eyes. And so far I'm finding that we pulled a rabbit from the hat, 'cause I don't think you're leaving anytime soon. And maybe I'm just simple-minded, but I'm just trying to find the time. It's been a while since I had something quite like this. And everywhere I've searched before, it seems I've always wanted more. So maybe now I can finally rest for a while. Days, you simply amaze me in so many ways. Don't let your mind fool you, and let it push you away. There are many reasons for you to stay. I past, it's gone real fast. Everything has vanished right before my eyes. So far I'm finding that we pulled a rabbit from the hat, 'cause I don't think you're leaving anytime soon. And maybe I'm just simple-minded, but I'm just trying to find the time. It's been a while since I had something quite like this. And everywhere I've searched before, it seems I've always wanted more. So maybe now I can finally rest for a while.